Very bluntly, is Web3 dead?
I think there's a lot of uncertainty these days in terms of what is really going to happen. But the general idea I find very intriguing.
Web 1.1 was read only, Web 2 is read write, and Web 3 will be read, write, and own.
POV edit. Status of Web 3.0. Put very bluntly, is Web3 dead? Does anyone have anything of Web3 on their roadmap? And actually, Drew, if you don't mind, can you just tell us what the heck Web3 is?
Yeah, I mean, Web3 is one of those things that was like invented to raise money, basically, by startups, but basically using blockchain technologies at the core to do something. But then where it goes from there, there's a lot of different interpretations. Some people include like these sort of VR environments and immersive sort of communities as Web3 too. And, the idea was going, the whole meta thing that Facebook did, like the metaverse and snow crash and all that, where we're like jacked in and we've got, our Neuralink implants and our AR goggles on. And I think that's all part of it. And somehow blockchain is like inextricably intertwined in that vision.
Wait,
But I
isn't
think
this Mark? Isn't you're talking? So is Web3 just Mark Zuckerberg's vision? Is that what we're saying Web3 is?
People in Web3 would say he like co-opted it when it was popular and ruined it. That's their take on it probably. But it's like it's Snow Crash vision. Neil Stevenson, right?
Oh yeah.
But
good book.
Yeah, it's a good book. But the general, I think now it's just sort of come down to most people just assume you're talking about what using smart contracts, using like Ethereum or some blockchain tool, and the idea is what's interesting about it to me is really all that it adds to the sphere of technology is the ability to create tokens and put things on a blockchain, right? And which means it's immutable and you can see it and it's run sort of on a disparate group of computers so that nobody really owns it. And those are sort of the guiding principles of the general concept. Where it can be interesting is using these sort of tokens as reward mechanisms. A lot of people maybe don't know this, but Reddit actually had the largest NFT mint of anyone, right? Everyone's heard of Bored Ape Yacht Club and all these other NFT projects, but Reddit actually had the biggest one because they're just sort of using the technology behind the scenes to do digital collectibles. And if people want to move them to their wallets and trade them on the blockchain, they can, but they can just stay within your sort of user in Reddit. And I think that's the kind of thing that we might see in the future. I mean, Starbucks has their own NFT project. I don't know how well it's doing, called Odyssey. And it's sort of a rewards program. And what you do is if you go through some hoops, you have to like watch videos about their coffee and do other things. And then if you do that, then you can either get an airdrop of like a pumpkin spice NFT, or you can get the right to mint one and actually pay them money for it. So I don't know. Are these, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I think there's a lot of uncertainty these days in terms of what is really going to happen. But the general idea I find very intriguing. The idea of tokens and this whole concept. Another thing that's around it, and then I'll stop talking and let other people talk, is this idea of a DAO or a decentralized autonomous organization. And basically, people can buy into this DAO and by buying some tokens, and that token then gives you a membership. So now you can vote on what happens within that DAO. And then that DAO can do all kinds of things. And there are a lot of different DAOs out there to do like civic good that, for the environment, people get together to do this. And then, they've all pitched this money in to do things. Other people have done this to create like investors clubs. So everyone puts in $200. They get tokens that represent their share of the treasury. And then they take that money and then they vote on what they want to spend it on. And so then they can buy like these really expensive NFTs, or they can buy tokens, or they can do things, and they collect them and sell them, and then whatever is, they share that reward, or at any point they can sort of sell their shares into that group and move on to the next thing. So I think there's a lot of intriguing things coming out of it, but there's also a lot of garbage with, FTX and scammers and all that other stuff.
Yeah, I was looking up, see if anyone had a nice succinct definition of Web 3.0. Unfortunately, not. But basically, the key features for those who might be asking, is said to be decentralization, trustless and permissionless, AI, of course, connectivity, and ubiquity. Like one of the things we were talking about, Drew, earlier was if blockchain is kind of one of the three. I would assume a lot of companies, especially not assume. I know a lot of companies, especially when you're looking into finance, you're looking in finance and fashion, two industries that have a lot in common, are definitely doing a lot more with blockchain. And I think while a lot of us are think of blockchain and a lot of this is years old, for a lot of these companies, it's brand new. So yeah, it's still penetrating a lot of the companies, especially when you think of the fashion industry, where they're really trying to use blockchain for sustainability, for traceability of every garment that's made, where it's made, how it's made, who touched it, at which stage in the process, what companies it went through, to really have that kind of accountability. Finance, I don't need to say more there. And plus, they're still doing a lot of stuff with crypto in the finance world too. Even though it's not as hot
too.
a topic, it's still
Gaming's
definitely a topic. Yep. Digital goods that you can buy and wear, just in our own little metaverses. Paul, you were saying?
Yeah, I was just saying Ethereum I posted the link in our private chat here, and I'll go and post it in the comments here, actually has a pretty good, at least I thought, pretty good explanation of Web3. It's actually, it quotes a 2020 tweet, or X, or I don't know what we're supposed to call these things now. Web 1.1 was read-only, Web 2 is read-write, and Web 3 will be read, write, and own.
But what does that mean?
That the way I understand that is meaning that, like, when with blockchain and with Web3, you'll be able to show ownership of data online and of virtual items or virtual objects online, that you'll be able to show that you own that.
Exactly. And think of it like these communities. So now you have like these NFT communities that came together. Once you bought an NFT, you like became a member of this club and you owned it. And if that club became more popular, then the value of your NFT would go up. So it's like when people have ownership in it, then they have a vested interest in promoting it, right? And I think that was what was behind Starbucks communities. Look, if we sell these NFTs, now not only are these people going to like read all our garbage about our company and all our, sorry, no offense to Starbucks, if anyone loves them, they're great, but learn more about our product. But now they're going to own these NFTs, and they're going to want to promote Starbucks more so that their NFTs will have more value, right? And I think that's the idea is, if you own a piece of something, you want it to be more popular.
Right. And I've always had issues with those kinds of things. It's like, what kind of real value does that actually give you? It's perceived value, of course, but it doesn't. You can't trade it in for cryptocurrency, or unless, I guess, something you can. A great example of that ownership of data, that a company that I was doing some consulting with, this was back when I was still in health tech, they were working to use blockchain to allow patients to own their data. In too many instances now, it's all the companies that are the electronic health record companies that own the data, or the insurance companies that own the data. 15 years ago, there was a Google Health product that Google was trying to make it so that customers owned their medical record, that they would then give their doctors access to it. It died very quickly.
Oh, I remember that. I believe I remember the CEO at the time. I remember him being interviewed as to, hey, why are you trying to do this? And he goes, well, someone has to have the fight. I remember him making a statement like that, and then at the end, I think the follow up comment to that initial statement was, well, we couldn't win the fight because it was too regulated. we couldn't break through.
It's not you're right to a certain extent, but it was also got to a point where patients didn't really care enough to own their data back then. But then fast forward 10, 12, 15 years, and people want to start owning their data online again. I was actually, this company that I was working with, they were actually, for customers in there, don't get me started on like 23andMe and these Ancestry.com companies that you send them a swab of your DNA. Who owns that DNA data? They're charging you minimal cost to actually look at that and tell you your ancestry. But if you look at the terms and conditions of using that, they're basically not charging you a whole lot because they reserve the right to use your data at some point in the future when they can monetize it. That's
I
what
think
the
it's
whole
great.
platform is based on. So this
But
company
still,
that I
they're
was
doing all this research about it, which is amazing, right?
right, but
So, like,
then
yes, and they're also like they do surveys and stuff, and they're finding these connections of like this gene's connected to this, and people with this tend to have, you know, stinkier armpits or whatever. Like some of it's
right.
useless, but some of it's helpful.
My
you know?
problem
Wait, is that
with,
the finding you had when you used 23andMe? They said that you
No,
73% chance
I
of stinky
remember getting a
armpit.
survey. They had a survey. It was like, do you have BO? That was like one of their things.
my big issue with these companies having that data is I could envision a time in the future where a life insurance company or a health insurance company denies you coverage
Yeah.
because they know your
You have
DNA
BRCA
data,
or whatever.
and
Yeah.
whether you've got BRCA or some other sort of gene that is known to cause something, and they want to either charge you a lot more or deny you coverage because of that, because they have that data. So this company that I was consulting with, they were actually working on a 23andMe kind of an idea, but basically the person owned that data as almost like an NFT, and nobody could do anything with it because you owned that in blockchain with an NFT. So it couldn't be used without your knowing that the data was being used.
Yep.
That is an amazing way of using that kind of a thing that provides real tangible value for a person who's interested in that.
Yeah, I know someone they have a company called XChain, and they actually have a patent for storing DNA on the blockchain, and they're using it for fertility. So basically, you like put your data on there.
Kind of bringing some of the conversation a little bit full circle here. I did ask ChatGPT, and I've been having a conversation with it about how it would define Web 3.0. And the answer I got, I'll give you the short one because I'm not going to read a whole 2 sentences. I'm going to go for the 1 sentence answer that I made it right, which is Web 3.0 aims to make the internet smarter and more personalized for users. It also gives people more control over their own data. Earlier, it was telling me about the use of blockchain and AI and giving people more ownership over their data. So does anyone have anything Web 3.0 in their roadmaps, or is it just Meta that does?
Meta actually killed their whole blockchain initiative. They Lyra or whatever it was, they got rid of it. So they don't even.
Well, I still have some AI, I guess.
Like going full circle to, I think, one of the first comments I made tonight. There's
another full circle. I'm getting dizzy.
There's so much regulatory and compliance issues in so many industries that have to be dealt with that the compliance and the regulatory haven't caught up to all of this new stuff that's out there. The AI, the NFTs, the blockchain, the Web3, etc. That some companies, like my current company, there's a lot of things that we won't touch because we don't know what governments around the world are going to dictate that can happen with the data that's produced by our product and by the users using the product.
So I'm not hearing anyone has anything Web3 in those roadmaps. That's definitely interesting there. Your go-to platform for all things product management, connecting you with industry leaders, trendsetters, and a global community of insights and unique perspectives. This is The Product Way. This show is brought to you by The Product Group. The Product Group isn't just another meetup. It's a thriving community that's been the go-to hub for product enthusiasts since 2009. Whether you're a product manager in a startup, a designer in a Fortune 500, a seasoned chief officer, or a student aspiring to break into the industry, the Product Group has a seat for you at the round table. It's a diverse community where you'll find a blend of fresh perspectives and seasoned wisdom, covering everything from the latest industry trends to timeless best practices. If you're ready to elevate your game and enrich your network, head over to meetup.com/pro/theproductgroup and join a chapter near you today. Are you looking to elevate your brand in the product management space? Partner with The Product Way, the go-to product management channel featuring a variety of shows. Highlight your brand and be part of the conversations that are shaping the future of product management. Contact us at jhorn, that is JHORN, at theproductguy.com. In the future of product management, contact us at jhorn, that is JHORN, at theproductguy.com.